This video is sponsored by JLC PCB. A while back I bought a broken MacBook Pro to try and repair even though I had very little experience and I actually was able to fix it, so I bought another one because I make bad decisions. If you haven't seen the previous video in this series, I'll put a link down in the description below so you can watch that first so you know what's going on in this video. This second MacBook Pro seems to have a problem on the motherboard with the ISL9240, which is not letting the MacBook Pro charge. Now, I don't know for sure whether that's the problem. I'm not an expert with MacBook Pros, but I did look at the schematic and I did the diagnosis, and so far that's where it's leading me. Unfortunately, that chip on the motherboard is not available because Apple doesn't provide parts for their devices. So instead of just being able to buy that one chip to fix this motherboard and get the MacBook Pro working again, I had to buy this iPhone X battery charging case because it supposedly has that same chip. So I'm gonna take this apart first and make sure the chip is there. Then I'm gonna start working on the motherboard. So first things first, let's take it apart. And as with many products that Apple makes, this is not meant to be taken apart or repaired or anything like that. So I'm probably just gonna have to hack away at it until I get down to that chip, if this even has it. Okay, that I believe is where I need to get under this. I'm not sure what this even is. So I'm gonna try cutting some of this material off and see if I can get down to that. There we go, that's what we need. Okay, we're getting somewhere now. We've got the two batteries here. So I need to get down to this little motherboard right here, I'm guessing. Now I've got all the screws out. I should be able to cut and pry the rest of this away so I can get down to this board. Okay, here we go. I think I got it off in good enough condition. Well, I gotta get this cover off, and then we'll see if that ISL is under there. And this is the chip that I need. So I'm gonna clean this area up, pull the chip off, and then we can get started on the actual motherboard repair. So here is where that ISL chip was. This chip has underfill on it, and that causes a problem because it's harder for the heat to get under there. So you can see these solder balls kind of have like little points on them. That's because the chip wasn't quite as hot as I would have liked. Let me get the chip and I can show you more what I'm talking about. So here's the chip, and all of these little pointed solder balls, I'm gonna have to heat this back up to make sure those go back down to just make nice small balls instead of the points on the top. So I'm gonna have to do that before I try and install it onto the board. Here's the chip on the motherboard. I'm gonna heat this chip up, hopefully just enough to melt the solder and then let it cool back down, and then we'll start it up and see if it happens to work. It probably won't, but it definitely is worth a try. I'm gonna add some flux right now, and then during the reflow process, you'll see me bring some tweezers in and just touch the edge of the chip to see if it moves at all. That's called a nudge test, and if you nudge it and the chip moves, then you know the solder is liquid. So I don't know if you saw, but I took my tweezers in and gave it just a little nudge, and the chip did move, telling me that the solder underneath the chip was melted. So now this chip has been reflowed and it's time to test it. So we have the motherboard in here enough to be able to test it. I'm gonna plug this USB-C charger in and see what readings we get. Okay, it goes to 5 volts. This should jump up to about 19 to 20 volts. And we're definitely not getting that. I'm gonna open up the top and see if we have anything on the screen. So I don't see anything on the screen at all. I'm gonna test that area where the ISL is and see if we still have the same shorts that were in the last video. And assuming we do, then I'm gonna remove the ISL, then we'll check for shorts again, and then we'll install the new ISL. So after reflow, let's check ISL 9240, see if we still have the shorts that are on the components around it. 2 ohms and 0 ohms on the other side. So that, I believe, is actually a short. Sometimes 2 ohms isn't enough to cause a short, as we learned from the first MacBook Pro I repaired, but I believe on this circuit it is. Also on G3 Hot, we also have a short. So it seems ISL 9240 is still shorted. Now I'm going to remove that chip, and then we'll see if the shorts are still there. So you can see we've removed the chip, and we've got a few big solder balls here that I'll need to remove so then I can check shorts. Let's take a look at the chip. Here's the bottom of the chip itself, and nothing too spectacular. You can see some of the solder balls merged when I was removing it, but overall looks like a typical BGA chip on the bottom. And there we go, we have all those solder bridges removed. Now we can check for shorts again. And speaking of motherboards, JLC PCB has some great new special promotions. One is they offer $2 4-layer PCBs, the best price of anywhere in the world. But even better than that, JLC PCB is announcing their 2020 Wanna See You e-exhibition. This e-exhibition is all online and has some great showrooms showcasing JLC PCB's products, but the best part is you can win some great prizes. Prizes include an iPhone 12, 3D printer, instant camera, $50 Amazon gift card, cash coupons, and everyone attending the e-show can get 4 gifts. This also includes a spin to win where you have a 100% possibility of winning. Be sure to check out the link in the description for all the details about the Wanna See You 2020 JLC e-exhibition. So here we go. Oh no, we still have a short there. Okay, let's check G3 Hot. And the exact same reading. So I thought I had this one diagnosed as the ISL, but obviously there's still shorts going on, so now I've got to figure out where their shorts are coming from. So when I check these fuses for PP-Bus G3 Hot, I find that they're definitely not blown, but also they have very low resistance to ground. So this shows 2.5 ohms. Unless there's something I'm missing, that is way too low, which means there's some short to ground in this circuit. Now this side of the fuses actually goes to the ISL that I already removed, suspecting that it was shorted. So it seems that maybe there's a short before the ISL that's making it look like that component was shorted out. Now the other thing I found is that this component has shorts on it, and so do all of these components. Now in most cases, in my experience, instead of it being like a component like this, a lot of times it's one of the chips that's shorted out. So I immediately suspect this chip is possibly shorted, but I don't know for sure. I'll show you what it's doing. So basically, all of these pins here, 0.3 ohms to ground, 2.4 to ground, 2.3, and then we can check the other side. So that side, that part looks normal, and this component is also not shorted. So basically everything on this side is not shorted, but these are shorted, and basically all of them on this side are shorted. Now also if I check these, you see 0.2 to ground and 2.3 ohms to ground. So I suspect that it's probably this component that's shorted, but it also could be any of these that are shorted. I don't think it's these, so what I'm gonna do is try and take this component off and see if the shorts go away. I also do need to mention that it seems like I just started looking at this and just found this right away, but in all honesty, this has taken me several hours to find. So don't think this has been an easy process, but I think maybe I've got it narrowed down. So I'm gonna take this off now and we'll see what that does. This is called Kapton tape, and I'm gonna use it to protect all these components over here, especially that plastic connector. So hopefully we don't melt anything. Now with that guy taken off, we can check for shorts around all the same components and see if our short is gone. Okay, let's try the big components first. That part should have low resistance to ground because it connects to ground. Well, let's try it right here. Ooh, we still have 1.5 ohms, which is very little resistance to ground. 0.4, 1.8, 3.0, 2.9. Okay, I think it's safe to say that the short is definitely still there. So you can see I did put this component back because I know there's nothing wrong with that component. I took this component off and found that the short was still there, so I decided to divide the circuit at least into two different parts, so that'll help me narrow it down. So what I did is just remove the fuses out of the circuit, and now when I measure these, they all measure normally, and this part of the circuit now still shows a short. Now I put those other two fuses back on and removed the next fuse in line in the circuit, and now this side of the circuit, which includes all these components, does not have a short, and this side of the circuit does have a short. So now I need to check the components on this side of the circuit and see what we can find. So just to recap, I removed the ISL, and the PP bus G3 hot is still shorted to ground. So what I need to do next is figure out where that short is. Now, PP bus G3 hot is connected to lots of components on this motherboard. So what I'm gonna do is turn on a thermal camera, inject some voltage, and see what gets hot. In order to do that, I've connected a wire to the fuse that is located on the PP bus G3 hot circuit, and I will be injecting voltage right here, and then I'll show you what I find on the thermal camera. Now, as you saw on the thermal camera, the only place on the entire motherboard that looked like it got warm at all was right on the CPU. So obviously the next thing I suspect is possibly a shorted GPU, but unfortunately I just don't have enough experience with this motherboard to really know if that's what's going on or if there's something else I'm missing. So if you're watching, please let me know in the comments if you have an experience with this, what I should check next, or if it is indeed a faulty CPU. Now, after looking on the schematics, I did find one area that looked like it might connect PP bus G3 hot with a CPU line, and that is this current sense resistor over here and this component here that I'm not even sure what it does. So I'm going to take this component off, and then I'll check these circuits and see where the short still is. So according to the schematics, PP bus G3 hot comes in on pin 1, which is right here, and then pin 2, it goes to the CPU. So when I touch my probe to pin 1, we'll see if PP bus G3 hot is still shorted or not. And we have 1.2 mega ohms, so PP bus G3 hot is definitely not shorted with this resistor removed. Let's check the CPU line. Oh, and there we go. We have 1.6 ohms. Well, that's a bummer. So there we have it. Unless there's something I'm missing, please leave a comment if there's something that you know of that I'm missing with this. It looks like this motherboard has a shorted CPU. I hope maybe there's something still I can do, but according to this test, it looks like the CPU is shorted to ground, and unfortunately, that's not something that I can fix. Now, the good news about it is, if that's true, this board actually is very valuable because there's a lot of parts on this board that you can't buy anywhere. Apple doesn't provide parts for any of their motherboards, so there's a lot of valuable parts on here. So, you know, if I was gonna buy another one, then I might have parts to fix it. But I mean, why would I do that? I just spent $700 whatever to try and fix this one, and then it wasn't fixable, so I really wouldn't do that, would I? Of course I would, because I make bad decisions. So let's get this next MacBook Pro out and see what I bought. It's been so long since I bought this, I barely even remember what it is. So this will be a surprise to you and to me. All right, and here we go. We definitely have some dents right here, but still not as bad as the last one, that's for sure. It's definitely dirty. I don't know how much you can see that. Let's check the screen, and then I'll look up on my phone and see what exactly I bought here. Okay, we got some cracks down here, some broken glass. Yeah, it's broken a little bit there, and there's a a bit of chip out of it right there as well. And the keyboard and case are pretty gross. It's got all sorts of, I don't even know what that is on it. Almost looks like paint or something. So that's kind of gross. I'm guessing this one probably has liquid damage. Let me look it up and see what I bought. So this is an Apple MacBook Pro Touch Bar Core i7 2.6 gigahertz. It's the 15-inch and 512 gigabyte SSD. The device is in used condition with scratches on the screen, dent in the housing, crack on the plastic panel, and spray paint residue on the housing. The device is broken, does not power or boot up, possible of water damage. That tells me that there is for sure water damage on this one, but if I can get it working and cleaned up, this could be a great computer. So this MacBook Pro is definitely gonna be a challenge. I gotta see if there's liquid damage on the motherboard when I open it up, and I'll be doing that in the next video in this series. Once that video is uploaded, I'll put a link up on your screen so you can go right to that video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a good one.